Right. So today is, what's today? October
18.
18?
I
Oh,
don't-
you're sharp.
Well, that's because I've had it on my daily Bible reading.
Oh, okay.
Read the 18th.
Okay, so Grandma knows the date. So October 18th, 2020, here with Grandma Nettie Shook, Grandma to many people. Today you're 94, just turned 94. Still going strong.
No,
No, still going at least.
going a little.
Going a lot still. Okay. Well, I think the purpose of this video is to just get a few stories from Grandma on record while we still got her around. You know, she'll only be here another, 10 or 15 years, we think.
Oh, no.
No?
I pray not. I pray not. No.
Well, we still got her, though. Wanted to get her on video, so we got her voice and get to remember her. So, I guess, Grandma, what do you remember from your childhood that is worth sharing? It's so different than
So
the
different.
world today.
It sure is. It sure is.
Do you think it's a good difference or
No.
a bad difference?
Some of it is good and some of it is bad, you know. There's a little of both. And it seems sometimes we seem to go overboard. When we turn the corner, we turn it too hard or too fast. And it just makes for nothing but trouble. And sometimes it goes along smoothly. You never know what it's going to do. So,
Anything in particular you can think of that's troublesome, and what are some of the good differences you can think of?
oh,
Well, where'd you grow up?
I grew up on a farm about 7 miles southeast of Java, South Dakota, and
Java?
Java, Java,
Java.
and west and south of Bowdle, Bowdle.
Okay.
And our church was in Bowdle, and we shopped mostly in Bowdle, but all our county business was at the county seat, which was further away than Java, so we had to go through Java to get to Selby, which was another 6 or 7 miles, and that's where the county courthouse was, where we did all the business the folks had to do, I guess.
Now, how did you guys take those trips?
In an old green Chevrolet we had. It wasn't like, not quite as old as a Model T, but I think it was either 26 or 28 model Chevy. And it had no trunk, just a bare tire hooked onto the back of it. And everything we hauled, we had to haul in the car. There was no trunk for it. The old cars didn't have trunks, so it was quite difficult. Especially when you have 6 children, you got 3 of them sitting and 3 of them on their laps. So
No seatbelts.
no seat,
No
heaven,
airbags.
no, heavens no. That it was a lot easier than that. You just got in the car and took off with a stick shift. There was nothing about automatic shifts in those days. It was crazy.
Did you have paved roads?
No, not even gravel. It was
You driving on grass? Or
our dirt road.
just all dirt?
Dirt road for the first, I'd say at least 3 miles till we got to the gravel. And then we got on the gravel. Then we knew we wouldn't get stuck. Up until then, we might have gotten stuck. There was
So
always
getting stuck in the dirt road was a frequent occurrence?
in the mud. Yeah,
On the mud.
in the summer, yeah. In the winter, we didn't go out if it was cold because we knew the car wouldn't start. And none of us wanted to go, You just didn't go anywhere like you do this day and age. We did go to school. We had very deep snow. South Dakota was famous for the blizzard. We had a lot of wind. It drifted the snow, and the wind kept blowing, and it drifted those drifts so hard that the snow was deeper than the fence. So we were pleased about that. We didn't have to open the gate to get out of the yard because we just went over the top on the snowdrift with the horse and the sled. And in the summertime, it was, well, we went to school in a little buggy. But in the wintertime, Dad would, we were a mile and a half from school, and Dad would put in a forkful of hay, and we'd get in the buggy, and he'd cover the blanket over us, and he'd hit the horse on the rump, and away he'd go. And when the horse stopped, we were at school a mile and a half away. We crawled out from under the blanket. There we were at school. He knew the way. And when the school was over, teacher would put us in and cover us up, and away we'd go. And we got home. When the horse stopped, we knew we were at home in front of the barn. So it was real easy in those days.
So you went to school in a horse-drawn carriage or sleigh?
Yeah. Dad, it was just kind of like an old buggy, but on the summertime he had the wheels on it. In the wintertime he took the wheels off and bolted it to what he made a sled.
To skis,
he put boards together and metal on the bottom of it, and we just rode around in the sled in the wintertime on the farm and to school. But to town, of course, they used the car. But we had to worry about getting out to the gravel road. Once we got out there, we were all right.
You guys probably thought that was pretty modern and convenient at the time, didn't you?
Oh, very, very, very much so. Very much so, yeah. Yeah.
So makes you wonder which of the things that we think are modern and convenient today will sound like horse-drawn buggies 80 years from now, right?
Yeah. And let's see, I must have started school in 31. I was 5 years old.
That was the middle of the Great Depression.
Well, it was the beginning of it for sure.
Yeah.
But I was 5, and Mom asked the teacher, "Will you take a 5-year-old for first grade?" She said, "Sure, why not?" Because the school had only 10 kids. With me, it was 11, so it wasn't so bad. And that they always had, like, the first and second grade had classes together, and third and fourth and fifth and sixth. Well, lo and behold, when I got in the 5th grade, I was the only 5th grader, and there was one girl in the 6th grade. So the teacher said, "Well, we'll just do the 6th grade work. If you can handle it, we'll be fine." And I had no problem with it at all. And we did 6th grade work all year, so I just went from the 5th grade directly to 7, real easy. So I really graduated. Instead of 18, I graduated 16, because I started a year early, and then I skipped the 6th grade. And in those days, you don't do that in this day and age, because there's no one person in a class.
Yeah.
Teachers worry about large classes, where our teacher had to worry about students.
Not having enough students.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, and she got there in the morning. She had to start the fire, unless one of the farmers brought his kids and felt in a good mood. Then he went in and started a fire if the teacher wasn't there yet, which helped her. That happened every once in a while. We had several dads that did that. My dad didn't, because he never went to school. We went without him because our horse took us all by himself.
Wait, so the horse... Okay, I guess I didn't get that part. So Dad didn't even take you to school?
No,
He just sent the horse by
the
itself?
horse, yeah, he just hit him on the rump and said, "Go to school," or whatever. I don't remember what he said.
And the horse knew where to stop?
Yeah, he knew where to go.
And then once you got out,
yeah.
then the horse just went home?
No, we had a little barn there.
Oh, so the horse just stayed at school
He
and
stayed
waited
at school,
for you.
yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and he give him the hay, and he gave him a drink of water before we left for home.
No,
I don't know how, but
no cell phones to keep track of you to make sure you got there on time safely, I guess.
heavens no. And if we stopped on the side of the road and played in the snow, so be it. We didn't get to school in the summer, played in the mud, I mean. In the wintertime, we were in the sled. We didn't have a choice. But in the summertime, when we walked to school, who knows when we got there, you know.
You just arrived when you arrived, huh?
Sometimes we ran and see who could beat the next one, George and Dolores and I. Or on the way home, we'd stop and play. There's water in the ditch, or in the between the tire road. If there was water in between, instead of mud, there'd be bugs in there, or pretty rocks. You know, anything. We'd stop and
Any distraction?
play. Yeah, yeah. And we'd sit on our lunch boxes were syrup buckets. You know, you used to buy the Caro syrup in a bucket, half-gallon or gallon, and the half-gallon ones were just right for a banana or an apple and a sandwich and a cookie or something. So we just carried the syrup buckets to school. Everybody did, you know. There was nobody any different. Well, there were a few kids that had store-bought cookies, which we envied a lot, especially when they had them with the marshmallow and chocolate sprinkles on it. That's what we would have liked to have too, but we didn't ever have them. We didn't have the money to buy them, that's why. There's a difference in those families even back then, just like there is now, the rich and the poor.
So, growing up in the Great Depression, did you know you were in the middle of a economic catastrophe, or
No.
it was just life?
No, we kids didn't know. The parents did.
Sure.
The parents did. Especially in the wintertime with blizzards. Sometimes we couldn't see from the house to the barn for 3-4 days in a row. Dad had a rope from one tree to the next to the way to the barn so you wouldn't get lost in the snowstorm.
It was that bad.
It was that bad. You couldn't see the barn. And the barn was huge. We had a big barn. It was 90 feet long and 2 stories high.
Wow.
Yeah. And in the summertime, it was so hot. It got 115 in the shade. And my mom was scared to death that one of us would get a heat stroke if we jump rope or run and play, you know, play hopscotch, heaven forbid, or jump rope. So she made us sit on the north side of the house or the separator shop, a place where we had the separator in the summertime to pour the milk in the top and come out 2 spouts. One was cream and one was milk when it separated them. That's why you call it a separator. And we sat there in the shade all afternoon. We weren't allowed to play. We had to sit and read, or well, we could play jacks, or skip a bounce a ball up and down, or we could color. There were a lot of things you could do. We would play with our dolls, you know. We had a lot to do in the shade, but we were not allowed to run and play.
Not when it was that hot.
Because it's too hot. Mom was afraid we'd get heat stroke, so.
Guess moms are always afraid, huh?
Yeah, you look after your chicks.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you graduated high school when you were 16 then.
Yeah.
Then what did you do?
Oh, then Aunt Rennie sent me a train ticket to ride the train to Chicago, to Detroit. We had to go through Chicago. I had never seen a black person. I'd never seen a black. And I got to the depot, train depot. Lo and behold, there were black, you know, come to help you with your luggage and would wheel the carts with the luggage. And their carts weren't like they are now. They were kind of like wheelbarrows.
Okay.
And I just stood there and stared. And finally, this was during World War II then.
Right.
Finally, a soldier came over and he said, "You look lost." And I said, "I'm scared." And he said, "Don't be scared. There's nothing to be scared of." He said, "What do you need?" And I said, "I got to change trains and I don't know how to do it. I don't know what to do." So he said, "I'll help you." So he went up to the desk with me, and lo and behold, I didn't only have to change trains, I had to change depots. He said, "Don't worry." He said, "I've got an 8-hour layover. I'll go with you and come back by myself, and I'll take you to the other depot." I don't know how to this day, I don't know if I'd have been able to go there by myself. I don't know. I was so scared, I couldn't even think. I was just like, I don't know, I was lost.
Some
It's just
mystery
just
soldier.
from a dirt farmer onto, the city.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
like you
Chicago,
say,
a huge
the,
city.
the mystery soldier. I didn't even have smarts enough to ask him his name, you know. And I don't recall that he asked me mine. He just called me little lady or little girl or something. I don't know. I must have been like, I was all of 5'1", you know. So here I was all by myself. I had a cardboard box. I didn't have a suitcase. My clothes were in a cardboard box with a rope around it so I could carry it.
But you made it to Detroit.
So he took me to the other depot, and I went to Detroit, and I thought, oh my God, what if my sister isn't here to meet me? Then what'll I do? Well, she was. So I got there fine, yeah.
So what'd you do in Detroit?
Oh, wow. For a while, I did nothing for a few weeks. And, no matter, so many jobs, you have to be 18. Even at that time, you had to be 18, especially where the industry had all changed from building cars to building war equipment, tanks and jeeps, and what else did they have in the war? Tanks and jeeps. There was other equipment. I suppose trailers to haul the big bullets. What are they? Bombs? Bombs, yeah.
The missiles.
On a trailer that they pulled with a tractor. But so they manufactured tractors, and it was all, America went to war, and everything went to war. So there were no cars built. You couldn't buy a car. And if your car quit on you, or if you rolled it and wrecked it, you were out of luck. You didn't have a car. You couldn't buy one.
Wow.
It was tough.
Really? So they used everything for the war efforts.
Everything went to war. America went to war. And we were proud of it. And we had stamp books. You had a stamp for 5 pounds of meat, and you had a stamp for a pair of shoes, and a stamp for eggs, and a stamp for this or that. Everything what, we used the stamps for. We all learned how to use our stamp books. And
That's just how they rationed.
were rations, is what they were, yeah, but we called them stamps that we took out of the little book. And you got so that you saw, whenever you saw people in a line, you knew somebody had got in a merchandise that was not available.
Yeah.
So
coveted. Yeah.
I remember one man was saying he got in line and he got up there and it was a pair of pantyhose. But he took them anyway. He said he sure his wife would use them. But he said he was sure surprised. You never know what's coming in,
You never know what's at the end of the line.
Yeah, and what's there, yeah. Yeah, let's see, what else?
So in Detroit, did you work at a manufacturer then? Or?
Then, no, I couldn't get on it. You had to be 18, see.
Okay.
And I was,
And you were
and
16.
that 16, and I got there in July, so in August and until September, I wasn't only 17. Well, at 17, I was able to get on at Nabisco Cookie Company, and I got a job at the cookie factory. And,
So that's why you still make cookies.
probably that's why.
Started when you were 17.
I never even
Haven't
thought of
stopped
that.
when you're
But it might
94
be.
and still going.
It might be that the cookies just stayed with me. But each floor had, I don't know how many conveyors that made cookies. And they made the ginger snaps and oatmeal cookies, chocolate chip cookies, and what was the little cookie that was shaped like a windmill, Dutch windmill? I don't know what that was called. Yeah, have you ever seen those? I'm sure you have.
Probably eaten lots of them.
Yeah, all kinds of cookies. And up on the sixth floor, they made soda crackers, and then the 7th floor was the cafeteria. So there were. I think I gained 10, 15 pounds working there, because when you got to the end of the conveyor came along like this, and each one, we were all lined up on both sides, and you took 2 rows of cookies, like 1, 2, 3, 4, and you took them and you had a slot, and you just laid them in that slot. There's slicker than the devil it was when the way it worked.
Hmm.
Anyway, and when you got to the end of the line, the cookies would fall off. When somebody couldn't pick up their cookies, you had to sneeze or blow your nose or something, or or something, or you had to go to the bathroom. The cookies would just go off and fall on the floor. Well, that all went to
I went to the cafeteria?
no,
Oh,
no,
okay.
feed the hungry or something.
Okay.
Feed the pigs, I don't know. But anyway, there were a lot. Sometimes there was hardly any, and sometimes there would be a pile a couple of feet high.
Just
If we
cookies,
had
huh?
a cookie that was hard to pick off, sometimes they stuck. You couldn't get them off. And then we had to complain. Our supervisor had to call upstairs and tell them, hey, we got a problem.
Cookies are sticky.
Yeah, yes. So they had to change the dough, and it was different. It was quite an experience for me. You know, a hick from the sticks.
How
Come-
much?
coming-
How much did you get paid for that job?
Oh gosh, oh
You remember?
no.
No.
I think.
A few cents an hour.
Oh no, I got more than that. Not much more. I think I got my take-home pay. Of course, they had taken out tax for the war. Nobody complained about that at all, and. I think my take home was $26. I'm not sure, something like that.
For
But-
what? For a week?
For
Or-
a week, yeah. But then I lived, Rennie, when I got there, was living in a
Apartment?
apartment at a hotel, and then we moved into a boarding room house where we had a room, and then we got breakfast and supper, but lunch we were on our own. So when there were cookies available, sometimes I'd eat one instead of putting it in the bag. You better not get caught.
So you got good at not getting caught.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah.
funny.
I'd make like I was blowing my nose and eating a cookie.
So
But
how long did you end up being in Detroit for?
oh, I was in Detroit. Well, that's where I met Rusty, my husband.
Okay.
Yeah, on the
Talk about that a little.
a streetcar went with my. Well, Rennie and I went to this boarding house, and this was probably October, something like that,
What year?
of that same year. Yeah,
Which is 1940.
40. What? 3.
Okay.
43. I graduated, and I went to work at the cookie factory, and then we moved to this boarding house, and we got breakfast and supper for $21 a week for the 2 meals and our room.
Mm-hmm.
So we thought we were in pig heaven. So lo and behold, she up and joined the Navy, and
Your sister did.
she passed the physical, yeah, and on December 1st or 2nd, she left for the Army or the Navy, and there I was, not a friend in the world, just me.
Hmm.
And here it was December, and it was Christmas. You know, mail would go, but I didn't have any money. Oh, one week I had a couple of dollars, so I bought 2 packages of tissue paper, and I thought next week I'll buy ribbon. Well, I had to have something else, so I didn't buy the ribbon. And lo and behold, the next week something else came up, and come Christmas, I hadn't bought a single gift. So all I had was the tissue paper. No Christmas. Christmas Day, I cried all day. I was all alone. Never left my room. Never went to eat breakfast. Never went to eat supper. I didn't eat all day. I had probably a few snacks in my dresser.
Cookies.
Yeah, cookies, yeah, and probably soda crackers, I don't know. Anyway, it was the saddest day of my life, no doubt about that. But they got sadder when I lost people. That was worse. Anyway, then I got a girlfriend and from the cookie factory, and we got bold and rented us an apartment. And so I was in the apartment with her for about a year, I think. And I met Rusty, when he was home on leave, he had been in the Southwest, in the Pacific for, I think, 3 years. And he came home on leave for 30 days, and lo and behold, I met him, and we had a great, almost 30 days. And
So you met him right after he got off the train then, huh?
well, just a few days,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, he had another Marine with him, and this girl and I went out to visit her parents, and they lived at the end of, they had trains, and along with the buses. So the trains ran down the middle of the street, the train track, and so we went, her parents lived at the end of the train line in another little town, and then we boarded a bus and went to her parents' house and spent the day, and mid-afternoon toward evening, we got back to the train and got on the train, and he had seats all along, and in the back there was one big seat around the corner of the train car, and we were on one side, sat down, whoops,
Nope, you're right.
and lo and behold, 2 Marines came and sat down. They got to visiting and laughing, and he said, "Hey, you in the red skirt, come on over here." And I just ignored him. I tried to, but I was hoping he'd keep up.
You're playing hard to get, huh?
Yeah. So we got to where we needed to go to get to our apartment, and we got off. Well, they got off with us.
Oh.
And we had to walk through a park, so we stopped and sat down on the grass and had a nice visit, about an hour. And then we went to our apartment, and the rest was history. I saw him every day since after that. He came down. I was there at the apartment when I got back from work from the cookie factory. And he got, when he left, he was cold. He was having another attack from his malaria. That's what sent him home. And he had on the Marine uniforms. I know the green. I've got pictures of him. I don't know if you've seen him or not. But the Marine was wool, the pants and the jacket, and then his shirt, long-sleeved shirt, and a vest sweater, and his heavy cap. He had that Marine cap on, and he had beads of sweat. He was sweating, but he wouldn't take it off because he was cold. So I didn't know what was wrong, but he did. He knew he was having a malaria attack. Well, he got on to go. His next station was in Boston. He was to be a guard on a ship. All ships in the Navy have Marine guards. Did you know that?
Mm-mm.
The guards on duty were all Marines, and they were on the ship. Well, he got that kind of a duty, a ship duty, then, because he was considered somebody that came home with, sick?
Yeah.
Kind of like a sick leave, but he wasn't sick, only when he had the attacks. Well, this attack that he was having got worse, and he got as far as Utica, New York, and he passed out before they got there. And then at Utica, New York, they took him off the train and on the stretcher, took him to there was an Army hospital, no Navy, and the Marines are Navy. So he was in the Army hospital for a month or more, and the Navy Marines was looking for him. He was AWOL, and I knew he was. So I went, his aunt and cousin.
You want to get that, or
Should I leave it? I bet it's Claire.
you want to get it?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Okay, well, he got down there then, and they got all squared away with the legal procedures of him being AWL and all that good stuff, and then I went down at Thanksgiving time to visit him, and we decided to get married, and how did that work out? I don't know. Well, then I went
It
back.
worked out pretty good.
Yeah, things worked out. No, I went down at Halloween. That's what I did. I went down Halloween and decided that we were getting married, and then I'd come back at Thanksgiving time, and then we'd get married then and spend Christmas together there before he went aboard ship. He had some instructions to learn about how to be a good guard on a ship, what his duties were. They were like 12 hours on and 12 hours off all the time, 7 days a week. And let's see. And we went down. We were going to get married then on December 2nd on his birthday, and we didn't know. We were in, and we didn't have. Where's your paperwork? What paperwork? Well, you have to have a blood test. Well, what blood test? We didn't know anything about it. Dummies. Well, we couldn't, so we had to go back and get our blood test, and so we went in on the 4th and got married.
That was 1944.
44, yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah.
you've been in Detroit less than a year and a half, and out of high school, and you get married.
Yeah. Well, I was alone. I was so lonely. Well, after Rennie left, had we known she was going to join the Navy, Mom never would have let me go. That's for sure.
Yeah,
But
worked out pretty
it
good for a reason. Huh?
worked out real good. Yeah. So we had a great time. That was December 4th, and then in January he was to board ship for the first time to go to Europe, and the ship went over. It was a, what was it called? A passenger? No, I don't know what it was called. Anyway, they went over with a load of fellows heading into war, and come home with a load of wounded. Lots of invalids.
Yeah.
And in stretcher
injuries.
cases, yeah. They came home loaded for bear, and then 1 month they went to England, another month to Italy, and another month to Germany, and once to France, Spain. He went in a different port every time with a load of soldiers, and there were always a hospital waiting to send people home because they couldn't go back to war. They were invalids. So that was in January
January 45, it sounds like.
45, yeah.
And then
He boarded ship. Well,
How
and
long
I was
was-
there for a month, and Rennie said, "Oh, come and live with me, stay with me. I'll get us a room, and you can find a job, and I'll come home and sleep instead of sleeping at the base. I'll sleep with you. We'll be together." And I said, "Well, I'm all for it because, after I was married, I was really lonely when I was alone." And I went, and she was in Wildwood, New Jersey. She was stationed there, and they had a hospital. And I went there in February, and I stayed there all summer. Every month he came in, and every other month he came up there for the weekend. The ship was in port in New York, or in Boston, I'm sorry. And
so you got one weekend
it's
every
been-
other month.
yeah, I had 2 weekends a month all summer. Yeah, it was great. And but after I got there, I got sick, and I got really sick. And Rennie said, "I got to take you to the doctor." And I had pneumonia, and what to do? But I went into the hospital. Well, I was married to a Marine, so I had the rights to go to this Navy hospital and get treated. But I don't know how it worked out. Anyway, that was when penicillin was introduced. I was in the first year or first month or something of penicillin being used on patients. So if it hadn't been for that, I'd have probably gone in the dumpster. But penicillin brought me out, and then I was all right from then on. But and then he came to visit me all the time, and then the war ended in September. And he came home shortly after that. But the first load, when they came home, when the fellows loaded, and they said, "Fellas, there's no more room on the ship. We don't need a bed. We don't need to lay down. We'll stand up all the way home." And when they got through loading, it was just shoulder to shoulder, all the whole ship.
From Europe to
From
America?
From Europe to America, which I don't know.
Standing room only?
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
No. Yeah.
How long is that journey?
I don't remember
Several
how long
weeks,
the
right?
trip was, but they did it, and they were singing and talking the whole way. had a wonderful time. You know, everybody was happy. The war was over. The war was over,
Yeah.
and oh, it was such a happy time. So,
So he comes home. Did you guys stay in Detroit for a while then?
then no. His orders when the war was over, of course. Then he was able to get out of the service because he was what was it? Recuperated. What do you call a person that might get sick again with malaria?
Okay.
Anyway, he couldn't go back to war. They had to muster him out, but they couldn't let him go because his 4 years wasn't up till December 31st. So they sent us to Great Lakes Army base, Navy base out by Chicago, and we were there from the end of September till after Christmas. He was what do you call them when they can't go out? You're locked up
Okay.
for mustering out. Anyway, he was for a
He
week.
was quarantined.
He was quarantined,
Yeah.
thank you, for a week. He couldn't go anywhere because he was mustering out that from Christmas to New Year
Okay.
that week. So on New Year's Eve day, he came home and he bought an old clunker. The tires had holes in them. They were so bad. But he said, being it's winter and it's below zero, we can maybe make it to South Dakota. We got in the car and we drove. And when he got too tired, I couldn't drive, of course. I never knew. Got behind the wheel. And he'd sleep a couple of hours, and we got cold, so we'd start the car up and we'd drive another couple of 100 miles. And when we got home the Sunday after New Year to my mom's house in Mowbray, South Dakota, and George was there, and Vi was there, and Dolores, and quite a welcoming committee.
Yeah, I bet.
It was
Well, you
great.
hadn't seen your family in 2 years at that point,
Yeah,
right?
2 years, yeah, over to little.
And they'd never met your husband before.
No, they never met him, you know, and then lo and behold, I told Mom I didn't have a period for a couple of months, and she said, "Oh, we better go to the doctor." And I was pregnant with Craig, because he was born then in June. But so I was, let's see,
So June of 45 is when Uncle Craig was born.
no, 46.
46, okay.
46, yeah,
Gotcha.
yeah. Because I was married a year almost.
Now, how long did you guys stay in South Dakota at that point, and when did you go to Wyoming?
We went to South Dakota. We went down to Rapid City.
Okay.
When we left Mowbray, we went to Rapid City. There was no jobs available. Mowbray was just too little. I don't think it was 5,000 people, or maybe 3,000, I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, went to Rapid City, and Elsie and Bill were living there, my oldest sister. And we got a place about a half a mile from their house. We found a little 2-room house with the furniture in it, a single bed. You know, the people that had a big house on the other lot rented this out to a single man or woman that needed a place. And here it was us, we slept in
Married
this.
couple in a single bed?
We slept in a single bed for a couple of months.
Oh
yeah.
my.
Until we found an apartment we could afford.
Wait, and you were
we didn't
pregnant
have
at that
any.
time?
We didn't have any money,
Right.
so we had to find a job.
And you were
yeah.
pregnant at that time?
Yeah.
Ooh, that would have been
Oh,
cozy.
that Claire?